Welcome to A Canadian Investing in the U.S., a podcast and YouTube channel focused on Canadians buying real estate with host Glenn Sutherland.
Welcome to a new episode of Canadian Investing in the U.S. with Glenn Sutherland. This week, my repeat guest is Nathan Payne. If you like this episode, go back and check out 253 because we talked to Nathan. That was, I don't know, that's probably almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Time flies. Feels like it wasn't that long ago. But anyway, Nathan, you want to give everybody a bit of an intro to yourself? And
Yeah, of course. So my name's Nathan Payne. I've been investing for over 7 years now. I primarily cut my teeth on wholesaling. But as you know, if you wholesale, you usually start keeping properties that you like. You start, buying stuff. So anyway, I've been in real estate investing for a while, came from a sales door-to-door background. I recently just moved to Canada. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I just moved. So just moved to north of Toronto. If anybody knows Kawartha Lakes area, that's where I'm at. It's my wife's family's from here. So we decided to move out, bought a farm. I'm looking over my view right now. I'm from my shop, my office. It's beautiful. I love it out here. I'm in the country. That's what the life I wanted. So we just decided to move out here and we're living the Canadian dream.
That's wild. So like most of the people I talk to are like, hey, I'm going to go move to Florida or Texas. I always want to move to the warmth. And you went and moved up. Hey, you know what? I think you're the second American who's moved to Canada. And most of us are going the other way. But hey, whatever works.
Yeah, I just love the country life. I love it. I'm overlooking. Yeah, my tiny farm that I bought isn't that big, but it's right next. Like I barely have any neighbors. It's next. I'm just overlooking a bunch of corn fields, soybean fields, wheat fields. So I love it. I love it.
I'll be over in the Kawarthas in the mid-November. So I don't know. Maybe
what are you doing in the areas over here?
Cottaging. So I meet up with my buddies from high school. So some of them are in Toronto, some of them are in Ottawa, and I'm out by Waterloo, and we just kind of meet up and
go
center spot.
Are you gonna go to Algonquin or?
No, I think we just got an Airbnb in Kawartha or north part of Kawartha. Yeah,
love it.
Anyway,
I love it.
Let's talk some wholesaling. I see for people who are listening to this, you got like you're full decked out in wholesale stuff. I can see it on your shirt and your hat. So anyway, let's talk some wholesaling.
That's it. Yeah. So, wholesaling basically, if anybody doesn't really know what that is, it's basically finding a property that's at a discount. You would say maybe distressed property. Not always the property is distressed. It can be the situation of the seller is in a distressed situation. You go under contract with the seller to purchase their home at a discount or a price that makes sense. And then somebody that will pay more. So instead of closing on the property, ever owning it, you can assign your rights to purchase the property for a fee. So if I find a property for $200,000, I know that my friend Jason or a cash buyer will pay $220. I'll sign my contract for him for $220, and I'll get paid out at closing $20,000. So that's what we do. And I've always done it virtually. So I've done it from Utah, but that's where I was living before I moved here, and I was doing all over the country in the United States. So moving to Canada is no different. I'm just doing the exact same thing, just across the border in the United States.
Yeah. And I was just literally thinking the exact same thing. I'm like, if you can do it from literally anywhere. What markets are you wholesaling? And you said everywhere, but you can't be everywhere. Where are you kind of focused?
Yeah. So we focus primarily in Utah, in the Orlando, Florida area. But because of the way I work with clients, I help them close their deals, and I JV and I work with clients and students and stuff. They come from all over the place. So I've done deals pretty much in all 50 states. I mean, obviously some that haven't gotten done yet, like North Dakotas and Hawaii and stuff like that, or Alaska. But anyway, that's like I have a strategy. That's what I do. Painless flipping. My last name Payne. It's a pretty easy. I would say not easy, but it's a good strategy for finding cash buyers if you don't have any. So we make it painless for people to find cash buyers if they want to wholesale.
Cool. So one of the pushback questions I always get about wholesaling is like people don't want to get on the phones. Like that's the honest thing, is that they don't want to be active. They don't want to do that. In your business, is that something that you've got a VA to do? Is that something that you still do? How does that look for you?
So do you mean like the wholesaler themselves don't want to call people? Because
a lot of people who are like, they love the idea of wholesaling, right? They want to go, pick up some, Orlando, for instance, pick up
Hmm.
some, sign some properties or get it under contract and find a buyer for it and make a commission. Like that is the sexy part. And the unsexy part is like just picking up the phone. Like a lot of
Okay.
people want
Good
to
point.
find a way to not have to do that. But some
Yeah.
people
So
don't mind it, but
yeah, no, I would have to say that I've actually done some real estate deals without ever having to get on the phone. I've just texted sellers and we've agreed to everything over text, which is kind of weird. It's like, wow, someone would just be willing to sell their house and do all this thing, everything over text and email and just
yeah,
paperwork. But it happens. But that is a very rare occasion, and you'd have to go through a lot of leads and produce a lot of leads, generate a lot of leads for that to happen. So if you're not interested in getting on the phone with people, this is not your business, because this is a sales and marketing business. You generate leads, you find opportunities, and then you get on the phone and you find a solution for the problem that the seller has. You're not going to find a good deal or a discount, or what would you say, an opportunity, without solving someone's problem. Because if someone doesn't have a problem to solve, if you can't provide value, why would they sell to you at a discount? You have to find out how you can serve them and help them, and that's how. So if you don't want to get on the phone, don't get into this. That's what I would say.
yeah, I love that advice. It's straightforward. You just said that you did one through text, but that's not typical. What
Mm-mm.
would be more of a typical transaction? How would that look? How would it kind of go from start to finish?
So you hop on the phone, you'd ask the seller, what's got you interested in selling? I go through a process where I disqualify the seller because not everybody wants to sell at a discount or to an investor. So I make sure I say, hey, you want to sell your house, or have you thought about listing it? Have you thought about keeping it? Have you thought about flipping it yourself? And they're like, no, I don't want it. I just want something fast, easy, convenient. Okay, great. Now I'm talking to the right opportunity. All right, let's talk about the house itself, your situation. Let's dive in a little bit more, see how I can help you out. And we usually just find out what's causing them to want to sell. It's usually a problem. Like, I'll give an example. I was talking to this guy from Colorado. Rich investor, has $1 million rental. But the tenant that he's renting it out to, he's scared of the tenant. It's a bodybuilder, like tattooed up, jacked, like, and he's not paying rent anymore. And the guy's old. The landlord is old. He doesn't want to deal with it. So he's like, hey, if you can take over this tenant in this situation, I'll sell to you. And I say, well, what's the condition? He's like, last time I checked, it needed some work. I don't know what it's like now. So basically, I'm buying a house sight unseen with a problem. So if I'm going to do that, I need to buy it at the right price so I could, make money. So the guy knows he's selling it at a deal lower than what if he just listed it and got the guy out himself. But the problem wasn't worth it to him, right? To deal with it. So that's an example of like who we'd work with. You talk, you find out the problem, you solve the problem, you buy it, and you're solving the problem with a fast, quick, easy close.
Yeah. And so for me talking to other wholesalers and doing a little bit of wholesaling myself, um, a lot of people are using CRMs and other things to keep track of this. Is that something you would advise, or you feel like someone could just start picking up the phone, or I always look at everything as how to turn it into from being a hobby to a business. Um,
Right.
and anyway, what's your thoughts on that, on having the back end? And yeah, I think it's more like follow up, right?
Yeah, and that's a great question because I do this. I teach people how to get started and how to do deals consistently, how to know what actions to take. With my I have an apprenticeship, so it's not like a mentorship where you get thrown in with a bunch of other people and you get like a call once a week. It's like, no, you actually work with me and I help you close your deals. I kind of walk you through, answer your questions. So it's like an apprentice. So anyway, I would, at the beginning, I don't tell people to get CRMs. I don't tell them to get bogged down with technologies and trying to get all confused. That's later down the line. That's when you have enough leads, but you can do everything with the spreadsheet. You can do everything with the Google spreadsheet. Just put the information of who you're trying to reach out to on the spreadsheet, whether you got a hold of them or not. Everything. It can be very, very simple. Wholesaling it's a very simple concept. Find a seller that has a problem, solve the problem, and then sell it to or assign it to someone else. And it doesn't have to be necessarily wholesaling. There's a lot of different extra strategies that are involved. Like you can fix it and flip it yourself. You can wholesale it. You can, novations. There's just a bunch of stuff, but we just say wholesaling because it's a concept that most people understand that dive into this. But it's really find an opportunity and monetize it by solving their problem.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about follow up there. I'm guessing that most people, at least any of them I've ever dealt with, they're not going to agree to this usually on the first phone call. What is the typical number of times you speak with them in order to get this?
Ooh.
I have more free content. So if you're interested, I created a PDF guide and a video to go along with the PDF guide to complement it. And what the guide is all about is the 5 most common mistakes that Canadians make when investing in the United States. So if you're interested in this free guide, go to CanadianInvestingInTheUSA.com/mistakes. And let's go back to the podcast. And it's free.
It's tough. There's some where you're talking for months and months and months, and it can take dozens and dozens of calls, right? Depending on the type of the seller it is. And there's some sellers that you just catch them right at the right time. So let's say you're dealing with someone that's in foreclosure, they're pre-foreclosure, they're about to get foreclosed on. You catch them with 3 weeks left before they go to foreclosure and they've kind of just dragged their feet. That person could make a decision very quick because they don't have the time, versus you catch that person 9 months prior, right, where they're not so motivated and they're like, oh, I got time. That could take quite a bit of follow-up, right? Because maybe they haven't come to the realization that they need to sell yet, or they're exploring other options to stay. So average, I would say at least 7 times, at least. Wow. On average, but it depends where you catch them in the process.
Well, for me, even I'm like thinking, well, 7 times, it sounds like a lot. And how often do you think you should be following up with these people? Because
again, it depends where they are at, where they are in the process, right? Like I would say when you understand how the mind of the human being and how they make a decision, you really, like, everybody has certain steps they need to take in order to sell their home. It's not like you can just wake up today and be like, okay, I'm going to sell my house and then sign a contract and it's sold. Like there's specific things that every person wants to accomplish. Like they want to talk to someone, maybe they want to do a little bit of research. So instead of just on that first call, instead of just jumping the gun and making a cash offer and just saying, hey, this is why I can buy it, I say, hey, what do you need to figure out in order to get to the next step? I'm here to help you. And I'm not just going to make an offer that like might change in 2 weeks when we're actually ready to go, because, things change. I might be able to pay more or less. It just depends. Let's get you to that point where you are ready to sell. So I actually pump the brakes a lot when I talk to sellers. I say, hey, obviously you want an offer, you're ready to go, but there's a lot of things that can get in the way of selling the home. Let's talk about those first. And, those are, when are you going to move? Where are you going to move? Do you need the money before you move? Do you need to stay in the house? So a lot of questions to ask. And, so it can take quite a bit of time.
And I'm just thinking, like, even for because we have the focus on wholesaling. If you find that they can't, you can't get this working, is it just sort of a dead deal, or do you try to, did you try and do like a seller financing? Do you ever try to go down other paths, or you really want to just assign the project? I know different people look at this differently.
Yeah, of course. So what I do is I look at every lead and I say, how can I solve this person's problem? And I know all the extra strategies that are available, whether that's creative financing, subject to, contract for deed. There's so many different names for all this stuff, land contract. But so what I do is I say, okay, can I solve this problem? Does this person want to work with an investor? Number one, I qualify the lead. And then I say, does this person want a cash offer? 95% of people do not want a cash offer. I would even say like 98% because it's low. So you have to identify, okay, is this someone that I can work with that would want a cash offer? So first of all, do they want to sell to someone that would want to buy, fast, easy, and conveniently? Okay. So yes, they check all the check boxes. So then you start talking about your cash offer range. Hey, this is where I'm going to be. If they're like, oh my gosh, that's so low, I can't even become that low. Then I say, hey, I totally get it. That's where I would need to be. Maybe I know some other people that might be able to pay a little bit more than I can. Do you mind if I run this by a couple of my cash buyers? So I go with my low offer. They don't like it. I run it by my cash buyers. If they don't like the offers at that point, I say, hey, look, cash is off the table at this point because you don't want my offer or anybody else's offer, but you still want to sell this, right? Yes, I do, and I need to go fast. Okay, well, there's two other options left for you. We can buy it creatively. It's going to take time, but you're going to get a higher asking price, or we can take this to the open market and we can list it and find a cash buyer that I can partner with, and then we can flip the house with. So it's I don't just leave the lead if they don't like my cash offer. No one really likes a cash offer. They're all bad, right? Unless they really need to do it and they have no choice. I explore the other options in sequential order, and sometimes you can get out of the order depending on what they want. And they can just tell you, but yeah, it's like a process that I'm taking people through to help solve the problem. Again, a lot of people think of this as like real estate.
Yeah,
we're involved in real estate, right? But it's more like you're solving problems. It's like sales. You're solving issues that and the sellers that are selling believe the problem is the home. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's not. But they feel like that it is, so you're gonna help them out with it.
Yeah, makes sense. Like for people who are interested in this or people who were interested in this maybe 2 years ago when the market was at a high point, do you find it's easier or more difficult in a market like this right now? Hello, everybody. Thanks for listening to the podcast. I just wanted to let you know that I've created a new coaching program. I believe the new coaching program has way more value than any of the programs that have even existed in the past. What we've done is pre-recorded all the lessons so that you can work through it at your own pace, which is pretty cool. And then we're going to meet up on a regular basis to answer the questions, do deal analysis, and actually spend our time together working on things instead of spending our time learning things. I think this will make a seamless transition to buying in the United States and will help you solve a lot of your problems. If this is of interest to you, go to glensutherland.com/coaching. I hope to help you guys invest in the United States, and I hope we provide as much value as possible. Back to the podcast.
I feel like there's pros and cons whether if the market gets hot or if it doesn't, right? Like, for example, when the market was really hot, right? People could just list their home and their house would sell fast. So people would be like, oh man, wholesaling is really hard because people don't really need you guys. You can sell quick. So now that the market isn't that hot, we can get more opportunities, but then they're not moving as fast for us either, right? Because cash buyers. So pros and cons to everything. More opportunities now, less opportunities then. But when we did get something, it would go by super fast. We'd make a lot of money because people were overpaying. So pros and cons.
Yeah, that's what I'm finding too. Even I flip a lot of houses and just finding days on market's a little bit. Well, you know what? It's longer than it used to be.
Of course, yeah. I have a house right now in Utah. I'm trying to sell one of my rentals. It's been on there for like 5 months. Yeah. It's been, and I'm not motivated enough to drop it lower than it is. So I'm just gonna have to wait. And a lot of people were there at that point.
Yeah. And you mentioned doing like Utah and like Orlando, for instance, as your like main markets. Mm-hmm. Is that because of like, certain price point of the houses? Like there's more margin for an assignment fee?
So I grew up in Utah, and I lived in Utah. I just know the lay of the land. I know a lot of the cash buyers there. I know the market. Orlando always has a lot of opportunities because Florida's, it's got a large population. It's got a lot of people moving in and out. The older generation, people dying, so a lot of opportunities, a lot of older homes. Weather beats up the home, so maintenance is an issue. So that's mainly why Orlando and the Floridas, just because it's a hot area. Yeah. Utah, because I live there, but Utah is a high price point. Like average home, I would say, is like in the $500,000 and up. So your wholesale fees, what you're going to make are higher normally on average than what they would be in Florida, because the price point in Florida is like 300, 200. So the spread that you can make in those lower price point markets, like the Midwest, is going to be lower than if you're in the West, where it's, the California, Arizona, like Oregon, like all those places, the homes are more expensive, so you can make more. So, but I do like to target the higher price point markets because you can make more.
Yeah. No, it sounds good. Painless flipping. Like, tell us about your business. Like, what do people get out of this? How does this work? Like, why would someone want to do your course?
Of course, yeah. So most people that get into this business that just do it and they watch some videos, they find out that there's so many little tweaks and nuances that maybe they don't know that if they could tweak, it would help them do more deals, right? So a lot of people go get help, right? They go get a mentor, they do coaching. And most programs out there are basically just education and training, and you go in there, you get overwhelmed. There's so much information, and then you buy into a program because you believe it's going to help you, but you just end up getting super confused, and you find out whoever you purchase the program for like is not even that available, right? Like you can barely get a hold of the main person. So I went through that experience, and so 3 years ago when I started my program, I was like, I'm gonna be the opposite, right? I'm going to be super available. I'm going to help people with their deals. We're going to partner on deals. We're going to do deals together. And that's why I call it an apprenticeship. It's not really a mentorship. It's not like an educational program. It's more, you do get that, of course, but it's more of like, hey, Nate, I got a deal. I don't know what to do with this. I say, oh, great. Let me give you some feedback on it. Send me the address. And I work people through deals versus, most coaching programs out there are just like, hey, here's how to do everything. Good luck, and ask questions if you have questions, which like at like a call once a week or twice a week. So I didn't like that model. I don't do that model. I've been an apprenticeship. That's why I've started coaching. It's just because I felt like there was a need for that. Unfortunately, I can't work with everybody, but the people I do work with, I enjoy because I feel like I'm making a bigger impact than just filtering people through like a funnel and just giving. Well, I did at the very beginning. I did just give education out, and the problem is, it's overwhelming. It doesn't help.
Yeah, people need to help apply the information. Just teaching them, you're not going to have enough success rate. And if you can help more people, it'll actually help you, because then it'll tell more people. So you when you do a coaching program, you need high success rate.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because it doesn't help any money otherwise.
No, exactly. And another thing is like, I had a wholesaling business where I was like, okay, I'm going to wholesale here and then I'm going to coach here. And then I started understanding it's like, hey, I can get leads. This is just how it is. Like I can get free leads for my students and they can work the leads and I can help them. So it's a win-win. So I ended up just shutting down my wholesaling business because it's like, well, I can do deals here, help them succeed, and just make a better product and experience for everybody. So yeah, it just is a seamless operation.
Yeah. So if there are people who are listening to this and they're like, hey, this sounds like something I want to do, where do they find you?
Yeah, so it's a play on my name. It's Nathan Payne, and my last name is Payne, Payne. So I call it painless flipping. Say, hey, look, it's going to be painless with me. All right. Now, obviously, it's never painless because you got to go through the fire of affliction, and it takes time and effort and hard work. But painless flipping. I have a free Facebook group. If you're hearing this and you're like, I kind of want to know what this guy's about. I don't know if I want to commit to talking to him yet. Painless flipping, free Facebook group. Just search that. It's a free Facebook group where we give you a course on exactly how to do what I'm telling you. You can do it from Canada. You can do it from anywhere in the entire world. You can do deals. And if you're like, I want to talk and see how he can help me in his apprenticeship, then painlessflipping.com, book a call, and then we'll chat about how he can help you out. Awesome. Well, Nathan, I appreciate you coming on this call. I appreciate you answering all these questions, because I know some people will be a little, some real wholesalers are always like, I don't want to give away any sort of secrets, but I can tell you're a share. So, and that's also at your back, right? Yeah, man. Well, that's the thing is like, really, I'm an open book in the sense like, yeah, I'm an open book just because like, it's the information's out there. You can find it. It's just, can you apply it? And do you have the grit and the grind and the determination to continue to go through when things get tough? Like that's what I would say to anybody who wants to get into wholesaling is it's hard. That's it. Just like anything else, it's going to take time and effort. So yeah, totally agree. Well, Nathan, thank you for coming on the show. I really, really appreciate your time. Yeah. Thanks for having me on.
That was a nice video. Bye.